Welcome to the 16th episode of the MC Knitting Adventures podcast. My name's Colleen.
And my name is May. Welcome to our returning viewers, and for those of you who are joining us for the first time, thank you for joining us. Today our adventure takes us to Grandville, Michigan, Holland, Michigan, Birch Run, Michigan, Frankenmuth, Michigan, and Port Huron, Michigan.
It was a lot of Michigan.
Quite an adventure this time.
Absolutely.
So there's going to be lots to share with you. We had lots of things happening. But before we begin our adventure, Colleen will talk about what I'm wearing.
So normally, we're both wearing something. I'm wearing a necklace, but that has nothing to do with anything that I've created. So May is wearing a lovely scarf. It's a Koigu scarf. There it is. I
have worn it in past podcasts.
You have, and it's by May Landra. And so what I decided to do was use something that was lighter, and I think I may need to make a few of those because when I was trying to figure out what to wear today, I had all these big shawls and it was too hot, so it wasn't going to happen. The yarn that I used is North Shore Prints. It's 100% acrylic, but it feels like cotton, and it looks like cotton, and it is very light, and those colors suit you very well, so I'm really happy with that. So that's what May's wearing, and next we're going to talk about our finished objects. My first finished object is a crocheted basket, and the pattern is from Churchmouse Yarns and Tees. And this pattern has small baskets, big baskets, all kinds of things that you can do with it. It even has placemats that you can do.
Now, I know in a previous podcast you've made a smaller version of this with a lid, and it turned out quite well too.
Yes, I was really, really happy with it. The yarn that I've used is Bernat Maker Home Deck, and it is 72% cotton and 28% nylon, and it's lovely to work with. And this is crocheted. And I used up an entire ball of this color, which is clay. And then I had half a ball left from the small one that I did, and that's an ivory color that I used.
Turned out well. Love the colors.
It did. Now the yarn is fairly heavy when you make something this big. It's quite a big size. So what I've done, and it's okay, there you go, is I've taken some Bristol board and I wrapped it around just to help the side stretch. Once you stuff things into that basket, it holds its shape no problem. So if I was going to do it again, might make it a little smaller, but I'm really excited about that because, as I know, I've got projects and project bags.
It'll hold a lot of stash.
It'll hold a lot of stash, so I'm really thrilled with that. So that's my first finished object.
Great job.
Thank you so much. So that's the first one. Now the second one I was talking about last time is the Heritage Wave Night Train Shawl, and that's designed by Shannon Dunbabin. And this is using Cascade yarn. It's their Heritage Wave. It's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And this is very similar to what my niece made, Meredith, in Calgary, but this pattern has lace in it.
I love the colors.
I know. It's a gradient in the skein. It is fingering. The pattern is brilliant. I haven't blocked this, and I don't know if I need to. The lace is fairly open. I might be able to get a little bit more length, but I'm quite happy with the size of it, so I'm not sure that I would need to do this. This is number 501. It's called Plume, P-L-U-M-E.
I definitely would recommend that color. That is beautiful.
Thank you. I'm really excited about it, and once it gets a little cooler outside, that'll be great. I'll be able to take it to work when I'm working in air conditioning. I'm not sure. So those are two. The last one is a hoe. It's a half-finished object. And this is for May, and it is a sock. And
lovely.
It is the Blueberry Waffle sock, and that's by Sandy Turner. I absolutely love this pattern. It is so nice. The texture is brilliant. Now, this is bamboo mosaic sock yarn, and I'm going to read there because there's lots of things in it. So it is 63% microacrylic, 30% bamboo, 7% polyester, and it is lovely. There's a nice little bounce to it. You've tried it on, and it fits you really
like a
well.
glove. It fits like a. It fits like a foot.
How about it fits like a sock?
It fits like a sock.
Okay. So what I did was I did do a bit of a hack. So if you can flip it so that you show the toe. So K.F. Jones of the Bakery Bears. She has designed a drippity drop sock, so I'll just hold that pattern up. And what I've done is I've taken the toe that she has, and it's called an umbrella toe. And I did them on socks that I did for myself, and you liked them. You tried them on and liked that toe. So I did that toe here, and you tried this on, and how do you like it?
I love it. I love it. It fits great. It's snug. I don't know. It makes it nice and tight, this, whatever you've ripped.
Yes, the pattern is a 4-row repeat. It's a free pattern, so I don't mind talking about it. So it's not like it's ribbed all the time. There's a couple of rows that are plain knit. It's easy to do. The pattern's easy to recognize when you make it, so it is lovely.
And it makes it nice and snug on your foot, which
does.
makes it comfortable.
Absolutely.
And also the colors that you've picked will go wonderful with my desert boots, and it'll fit great in those desert boots. So
Yeah,
thank
I
you
think
so much again for knitting me another pair of socks.
You're
they
welcome,
go
my
to
dear.
great use. So
Yes, you are definitely a knit-worthy lady.
Thank you.
Okay, so now May has some finished objects, so let's talk about those.
I have 2 finished objects today. My first finished object is a painting of a dog called Dougal. Unfortunately, Dougal passed away. It's my mom's friend's dog, and my mom's friend had asked me to paint a picture. So this is the picture of Dougal.
It's really good. You did a great job.
Thank you. And my second finished object, I'm going to put a photograph up here. It was a table that Colleen and I found, and it's a fantastic table. It has a lid on it. And for those of you that knit out there, I know you have end tables with little cards and numbers and cards and knitting needles like Colleen does. And this is amazing because it has a lid, and you can put all your knitting and all your stuff there, and it looks tidy when you're not knitting. So.
Right. So at the lid, the part that opens is only about 1/3 of the way across, but what the space is the entire length of that end table. So I am excited about that.
We bought it at a secondhand place. It wasn't really something that we were looking for, but when we saw it, we both kind of knew exactly what it would be used for.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we brought it home, and it doesn't go with the rest of the furniture, so we need to spray paint it. And so I bought some spray paint. I'll put some photos up of the before and after.
Oh, perfect, because you did a great job on it.
Yeah. So we bought some spray paint. It's called Dark Walnut. And I sanded it all down, and I spray painted it, and then I read the instructions what I thought. They used the word or. So it says to give it a second coat 1 hour or 48 hours. So I gave it a second coat at 6 hours. And then it has a chemical reaction. The paint starts to bubble and everything.
Oh, no.
So I had to resand it all over again and follow the instructions, either do it 48 hours after or 1 hour. So it was quite funny because when I went to the store to buy extra paint, the fellow said, oh yeah, that's what you have to do. Oh yeah, you know. And then I came to my neighbor and I was sanding. My neighbor came over and my neighbor said, oh yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to wait 48 hours or 1 hour, nothing in between. It seems like everybody knew that but me. So it caused myself a little bit extra work.
I'm sorry about that.
But the results, as you can see, we're very happy
It's
with
beautiful.
the results.
It's
I
really,
love
really
the
nice.
color.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be making the living room a little tidier without all that knitting that's sitting out.
Yes. She's
But-
quite right. It'll keep me organized. I like that.
So anyway, it turned out quite nice.
Those are our finished objects. Next, we're going to talk about my works in progress. My first work in progress is a shawl, and it is the Terracotta shawl, and that's by Jessica Gore. So it is a one skein shawl with some stockinette, and then it has this texture, and I'm so happy with how
I
the
love the
texture comes
texture.
out. The yarn is Dream in Color yarns, and it's called Smooshy with Cashmere. 70% merino, 20% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And oh my goodness.
I don't know if you can see the texture on your monitors, but it's beautiful.
I'm really happy with this. Now, I have stretched this out a number of times and lost stitches off the end, so May's being very careful.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to be responsible for that.
So it's got the center spine, and it starts off stockinette, and as you increase, and then there is that texture. So I think when it blocks out, it's going to be beautiful. You can see that it has this garter detail, so I'm getting close to the end. I'm just about there. So hopefully next time we podcast, this will be a finished
And
object.
the colors together work very well.
It is. The colorway is Island, so there's some water and some sand, and it's just looking beautiful.
It is. It's
I'm
wonderful.
really happy
Yeah.
with that. So
It's going to be
Thanks.
great when it's all finished up.
yeah, so thank you so much for that. Not much left to go. I'm really excited. And then the next two works in progress that I have is I kind of made a decision because every time we go to work, somebody is either going to be having a baby or a grandbaby. And so I'm trying to do some things ahead of time so that we can have things if it's a girl and things if it's a boy, and some neutral things. We'll do that as well. So the first one, and I've seen this pattern and I always wanted to work on it anyway, and that is called the Norwegian Fur Top-Down Cardigan. And oh my goodness, it's by Koigu Knitwear Designs. I'm gonna hold it up.
I love it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy with this. And I'm using Bernat Softee Baby. So it's a DK and it's 100% acrylic. Now, when you're making baby things, 100% acrylic's great. Throw it in the wash, throw it in the dryer. So it's going to look a little funny because it is a work in progress, but I wanted to get one of the arms done.
You're missing an arm.
I'm missing an arm, but I wanted to get one of them done before we showed it. So I love it. It's garter, so it's nice and squishy, and I love the way that they flipped up the end of the sleeve here into a little cuff.
Now, do you have any idea of what button you're going to be putting on the top?
I don't know. I was looking through buttons. I have a wooden one, which would be pretty, but I'm not sure. Maybe it should just be a plain yellow one. Sometimes when you go to the fabric store, they have little cute little buttons for kids. So I think that's maybe one of the things I have to do sometime in the next few days.
That's lovely. That's turned out very well.
Yeah, I'm really thrilled with that.
Finished also.
All right, and then the last work in progress for me, this is called Bambino. It's double knitting. It's a pattern by Stylecraft. It's called Cardigans in Bambino DK 9503. And oh my goodness.
I love the style of this because it's a little different.
It is. So the way that it works, if you can tell, is that, sorry about
Hold that up.
So this is a flap that goes over top. There's a flap that goes underneath, but it only buttons right at the neck. And I think it's going to be brilliant. Now you can make it long sleeve or you can make it short sleeve. I think I might make it short sleeve because you could pull it over a sleeper or something and just almost be like a little vest. All right.
Great idea.
What I've chosen is Cherub DK. It's 55% nylon and 45% acrylic. Surprise, surprise, I chose purple. So I've kind of pinned it in place so you can see how it goes. I haven't blocked these pieces. I'll have to steam block them. But the front panel, if you can hold that for me, that's great. The front panel has the pattern. I'm going to open this up. Then that's the flap that's underneath and it's plain. And then when you turn it around to the back, then you've got the texture again. So the only thing I need is the sleeves and a little bit of work on the neckband, and then that's going to be done. Now that's a really tiny size. Oh my goodness. I know babies come that small, but it looks really tiny. So I'm going to be glad to open up the texture, do a little bit of steam blocking, and then I think it will be beautiful.
It's very soft, also very soft.
Yeah, I think it'll be comfortable for a wee baby.
It'd be great to see that finished also.
Exactly. So
you got a lot of work to do.
I do have a lot of work to do. The nice thing is, anybody that we know that is having babies or grandbabies, it's not for a while. So I'm trying to get ahead of the game and that will help out. So those are my works in progress. And next we're going to talk about our adventure.
Our first stop on this adventure took us to Grandville, Michigan. Now Grandville, Michigan, according to the 2010 census, was only a population of 15,000. So it's not a large community,
a small place,
but it's a small community. We didn't get to spend a lot of time there, but it is one of the oldest suburbs of the Grand River.
Oh, excellent.
Now, during the logging season, back in the day when they did the logging, it had bend in it, so they used to employ people to unbend the logs from going through.
Oh my goodness, that's interesting.
Like I say, we didn't spend a lot of time there, but we did get time to visit the yarn store, the Threadbender, which Colleen will talk a little bit about.
All right, so Threadbender is owned by, now we met Becca. There's the card.
Nice young lady.
And her mom. They own the store. So when we were there, Becca was there and a lady named Maie. That's her nickname, I guess.
And you've seen her on the video when we first played the video, and I had Manie's name up there, and she had the one with the sore leg. That
the
was
walking
healing.
boot, yes, trying to get that healed up.
She was personable and funny, and she was fantastic.
It was great. We had a good time with both of them. Now, the Threadbender store is lovely, and part of the reason why we went there is the day that we were there, it just worked out, they were having a Manos del Uruguay trunk show. And so what they had was a number of samples and some different yarns that you could see. So it was really neat to see how things worked when they were knit up. And it's always fun to do that trunk show thing. So that was really good. They have lots of roving. They do weaving. They do spinning. They have all kinds of things going. They have all kinds of yarns.
They had a well-organized store. It was very clean and well-organized, as you could see.
They did.
In the
And they
video.
had some bare yarns, and they had some jacquard dyes. And, you know, we've talked about dyeing yarn. You will have seen that we've dyed some yarn. But we're not ready to get into acid dyes, because once you use things for acid dyes, you can't use them for food again.
Right.
So I think right now we're going to stick with food coloring. And so keep an eye out for that kind of thing. So we'll talk about that later on in the podcast.
Okay, that sounds like a
Exactly.
good idea.
That's
now,
great.
Now, you had a video. We put a video up in the store. Do you want to put that video in now?
That would be great.
Okay.
That's Threadbender, so hopefully you'll get a chance to go to that in Grandville, Michigan. It was a lovely store. The people were amazing, and I'd like to go back sometime.
For sure.
It would be great.
Now, we didn't talk about the young girl that owned it and what she did.
Becca is amazing. She was really lovely to talk to. She actually designed the logo for the card, and there was an enamel pin that you will have seen in that video, and she designed that as well.
Yeah, very talented young lady.
Exactly. So that is our visit to Threadbender, and now we're going to talk about Holland, Michigan.
Our second stop of our adventure was Holland, Michigan, and according to the 2010 census, the population of Holland is 33,000. Because of its great location, they have over 1 million tourists every year that go there.
It is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. It's actually located on Lake, and I hope I do this justice, it's actually located on Lake Makatawa, and that's a lake, and then there's a channel that has a big red lighthouse which is photographed all the time, and that channel takes you into Lake Michigan. It's photographed all the time. When you go there, you see photographs of that and paintings of that lighthouse.
It's beautiful.
We have gone there before because we have gone to Saugatuck, Michigan, which is just up from Holland, Michigan, and we've actually jet skied on Lake Michigan, which was an amazing holiday, wasn't it?
It was lots of fun.
We were kind of familiar with the area, and we loved it there. It has a Dutch heritage, of course, being Holland. They have a tulip festival in May, and the place is just covered with tulips, and people come from all over to see this festival. It also is the world's largest pickle factory.
Oh my goodness.
And it's been there since 1871.
I didn't buy pickles.
No. And you realize, and it's Heinz that owns that, and they actually process 1 million pounds of pickles per day. That's a lot of pickles.
That's a lot of pickles. Yeah.
That's a lot of pickles. But they also have museums and schools, and like any other little community, it's a lovely little place. It's very clean. As you can see by the video, they have some statues and that type of thing
amazing.
downtown. It's lovely to shop in. It is listed with the National Registry of Historic Places because they have a snow belt project. And that was established because they put pipes transporting warm water into the streets and the sidewalks, so that in the winter it would melt the snow and the ice and make it a much more pleasant place to be.
Yeah, I can understand that, because the downtown part would be gorgeous to walk in winter without worrying about slipping. That would be great.
It would be nice to go there to see how that actually works. It doesn't say how that actually works, but It would be cool to
That would
go
be
there
fun.
in the winter. Yeah, it could be another adventure in the winter. So as you can see from the video that we watched, we did have fun shopping. We did have fun going to restaurants and eating. Wonderful little place. We did get to visit the yarn store, Guérin-Huys. Am I saying that properly?
You did a great job.
Guérin-Huys,
Yeah.
lovely store. You enjoy that store. We've been there a few times. And Colleen will talk a little bit more about that.
All right, so the shawl that you saw in my works in progress, that yarn, that Dream in Color yarn, Smooshy with Cashmere is called, that's where I got it at Guérin-Huys. So I'm just going to show you the card. So there's that side of it, which I think is smashing. Exactly. And then there's the other side.
And again, the lady there was very lovely.
Yes, Shelley was great. She's the owner and she was helping us out with everything. I could spend days in that store. It is beautifully laid out. Because I'd been to the store before, when we were going to go, I knew we were going to go, I went specifically for some things in mind. But there are always things that catch your eye that make you think, oh, I could do that. So it's really well laid out. They kind of have, they've got lots of places where the skeins are hung up. They've got lots of cubbies. They've got lots of samples. They're really, really helpful. They've got lots of selection of needles. I'm just going to list some of the yarns. So Wonderland Yarns, Plymouth Yarns, Swan Island, Barocco, Biscotte, Dream in Color, Badlantosh, Cadia, Sweet Georgia. That's not even all of them. So you can imagine going into a store with all those things.
And you can imagine, because we put a video together that you can actually view and see, have an idea what Colleen's talking about. Right. And that's one of our most favorite places to go.
Exactly. I love the store, but I love the town, the city as well. It was beautiful. So have you going to put the video in now? All right, so let's see that video right now.
I hope you enjoyed that video. It is a lovely place to be. We thoroughly enjoyed that. Yeah. Totally recommend going to Holland, Michigan when you get an opportunity to do so. And next we're going to be talking about going to our third place in our adventure, which was Frankenmuth and Birch Run, Michigan. Our third stop takes us to Frankenmuth, Michigan. Great little place. According to the 2010 census, the population was only just under 5,000 people. But that's not to say they have over 1 million visitors every year because of it's a tourist attraction.
It is definitely a tourist attraction. Yeah. It's great.
Now, I'm just going to read a little bit about the name means, Frankenmuth. The city's name is a combination of two words. Franken, which represents the province of Franconia and the Kingdom of Bavaria, home of the Franks, where original settlers came from. The German word Muth means courage. The German's name Frankenmuth means courage of the Franconians.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
I have no idea of any of that.
So that's the German heritage, and they do have an Oktoberfest over there. They have a Snowfest, Bavarian themed shops.
Absolutely.
As you can see from the video, they had the where they make the fudge, where the guy's doing the fudge.
Lots of candy, yes.
Yes. They also have Broner Christmas Wonderland. And what that is they claim that it's one of the world's largest Christmas store. Now, we've been in it. We weren't in it this time. No. But we have been in it, and it is one of the largest Christmas stores I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Any kind of Christmas ornament you would ever imagine or think of.
Yeah, and so it's set up in different rooms, and it's got different themes.
Very well organized.
It's really good.
And a lot of people just go there for the Christmas store.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and also, we can't talk about going to Frankenmuth without talking about Zenders, because every time we go to Frankenmuth, we go to Zenders and we have chicken dinner, and it's known for its great food.
Oh, chicken is amazing.
And they have little stores, a little area of bake area, and you can go into the little stores and buy jams, and
there's lots of
things to purchase there. I wish we could have taken a video inside. We could have, I suppose. I didn't ask, but what a great place to go. And also a short drive away from that, we have Birch Run, which is basically just shopping malls, and you can see that from the video also on the when we showed. It's just kind of wall-to-wall stores, like what do you call them stores?
It's a factory outlet
stores, and like Nike and that type of thing. And
yes.
So anyway, we had a great time. Of course, Frankenmuth is always a great place to go, and there you go.
There we are. And we actually were able to find a little bit of yarn in Frankenmuth, so we'll talk about that when we talk about souvenirs.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, next to Zenders, where we had our lunch, we ventured on up the street to look at some of the shops, and there was a dress store and that type of thing. And Colleen can talk a little bit more about that shop that we saw.
Okay, so it is called Rapunzel's Boutique. And I'd gone in just because it was a boutique, and there were some clothes, and there were some household things, and some jewelry.
Soaps.
And then, yes, always soap. And then as we headed back at the back, they had some yarn. So it's, you know, maybe a third of the store is some yarn at the back. But I actually was able to find some yarn that I'd been thinking about all the time we were in Michigan. Every store we'd been in had mentioned it. And finally, I thought that would be the yarn.
Who would have thought in Frankenmuth, behind a clothing store, that you would find a little piece of yarn that you were looking for?
Absolutely. We had a great time. The whole Grandville and Holland and Frankenmuth, and we had a great time away.
It was 4 days. It took us 4 days total, I think.
Right.
And staying in hotels and shopping, and it was just a great little trip getaway through the middle of the year, away from work. So, thank you for making it so much fun, and we'll hope you'll enjoy.
And now we're going to talk about our souvenirs. Before we talk about our souvenirs, May and I want to show you something. So we have, and if you're watching us on Instagram, you will have seen this already. We have, as we mentioned earlier in this podcast, we've talked about dyeing yarn. So we decided we'll go one skein at a time, and we did dye the yarn in the crock pot. So there is a video up that shows you what we did, but I just want to show you this yarn. And the reason why I'm showing it to you right now, so there's the skein that we did.
So if you want to see how we did this, go on to our video of how to dye yarn.
Exactly. So it's on our YouTube channel. You'll find it. The reason why I'm showing this to you is because what I want to do is I want to cake it up and get started on it.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted you to see it in the skein. And now I'm going to cake it up and I'll get working with it. It's beautiful.
It turned out well.
I know. We've never dyed yarn in a crock pot before, so I'm really happy with it.
Yeah. Very nice for a first experience with that.
Exactly. Now we get to talk about souvenirs.
And we have a lot of souvenirs, only because this was more of a shopping trip. Because everywhere we went, there was large outlet stores, and there was lots of places to shop.
Exactly. And I think the other thing is, as I've mentioned, is I'm always trying to buy something that I can't get someplace else, that if I haven't seen it before, then I want to do it. So I'm going to talk first of all about Threadbender. So that's the one that's in Grandville. There's its card. And they were having the Manos del Uruguay trunk show. So how can you not get some Manos del Uruguay? So I decided to get some merino. So there is the yarn. This is
a nice
Boracua, I think is how you say it. It's lace weight. I really like it. It's really, really soft.
Now, would you double up and when you do that?
I think I might do that.
It's very thin.
It is very thin. So I think what I'll have to do is I'll have to wind off half the skein, and then I'll double it up from there. Or I'll make it a cake and pull one yarn from inside and one yarn from outside.
That's a great
I'll
idea.
figure out a way to do that.
I'm
so
sure
that is the Marina by Manos del Uruguay. One of the samples they had was called the Willow Branches Shawl. It involved 3 colors of DK yarn. And what they had, and I'd never seen it before, it is Barocco Corsica, and it has 90% cotton, but it's got 10% cashmere in it. And it
that's why
is
it's
so soft. So these are the 3 colors that I chose.
They go well together.
Yeah, could we turn them to see? Yeah, that would be great. Perfect. So those are the 3 colors. I can hardly wait to get started. This might be a good one to get started so I can wear it at the end of the summer or early September.
Right. The feel is very soft.
It is beautiful. It just adds that little bit of softness to cotton. So I'm looking forward to that. So that was Threadbender. I could have spent much more there. There were lots of things to do, but it was kind of on our way to Holland, and I knew Holland had some things I wanted, so I had to wait there. So the next store is Grandville. That's the yarn studio that's in Holland. There's the front of their card. And once again, as I mentioned earlier, I love the store. So I was looking specifically for this yarn. So it's called Wonderland Yarns Mad Hatter. You can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors. There's 86 yards, I think, of each color. 86 yards per 1 ounce skein. And there is a pattern that is specifically designed for that. And so I am very excited about it. I'm going to have to wind it into cakes. It is long and narrow shawl, and I think it's going to be beautiful. So I was looking specifically for that colorway and that yarn. Found it. I was happy.
Is it a paid for pattern or is it a
It is a paid for pattern, but I will definitely be showing it to you soon because it's something that I wanted to do. Now, if the shawl that I was talking about in my works in progress was in that Dream in Color Yarn-Smooshy with Cashmere, and so I decided to get some more. So it's called Prince William, this color. It's blues and it's tonal, and I think I have the perfect scarf kind of pattern for that. I'm really happy with it, and the cashmere just makes it lovely.
Soft again?
Soft again, which is nice.
Very nice.
And yeah, I continued shopping in Grandville. I found some biscuit yarns. This is, I think, the blue pansy blue, I think, yes. And so it is beautiful, beautiful sock yarn. It's self-striping. I want you to feel that.
Wow.
That is brilliant.
Wow.
So
Wish you could feel that out there.
I know. I picked up some of it when I was out in Calgary, and I love this yarn. I've got to make some socks because it is
great
brilliant.
for a pair of socks.
I think so. I think so. I'm so happy with that. And I think that's all the yarn, but then they had other things. So I wanted to try working with Koigu needles for socks.
I'm sorry, where did you get these needles?
This is still at Grandville in Holland. So they had fixed circulars. These are socks, so they're 2.25. So I want to give them a try. I'm not going to be on a plane anywhere in the near future. It's got a 32-inch cord, so it's a good thing for a magic loop. So I'm going to try some socks, maybe with my biscuit yarn, and we're going to see how those work. So I was lucky to find those because you don't always get them. And then, oh my goodness, what a surprise. This is called Hot Flash Fiber Company, which is quite funny. It's goat milk soap, patchouli and sandalwood. Have a smell of that. What do you think?
Wow.
It's beautiful.
I wish you could smell that.
Yeah, it's beautiful soap. I'm going to put it in my project bag, and that's going to keep things smelling beautifully.
Olive oil, coconut oil, soybean oil, hemp oil, shea butter, and goat's milk. Yeah. Wonderful combination.
Exactly. Now, the other thing I bought, and this is the last thing I bought, this is, I'll let you hold up one while I read the other one. So this is Love and Leche Anywhere Balm. So it's a hand balm, and if you keep this in your project bag, then you can just put it on your hands when they get a little dry from knitting. So I've seen the lavender and mint, which is this one, and I have some of that and absolutely love it. But then there were some other scents. So this one is called lemongrass, and then this one is citrus rose. So I decided to
What's
get...
your favorite? Oh, I like this one, lavender mint.
Oh, this one's nice too though, smell that one.
No, lavender mint.
That's for you. So I wanted, instead of, but you can get these in big containers, but I wanted to buy them in different containers, smaller size containers, so that I could try different scents out. I have lots of project bags, so I can
You put one little
thing in each one. So I had a great time at Grandville. Thank you again for your
more and more time.
I could spend days in there, but thank you for your patience because it was a bit of a shopping thing. Now, we actually went along the street in Holland as we were trying to find a restaurant to eat. And we went into a store that's called 10,000 Villages. And in the store, they had baskets.
Oh, weren't they amazing, all those baskets? You can actually
there's
see some on the video.
Exactly.
but-
So many different ones you could choose from. Now, I know when I was out in Calgary and Edmonton, they have Blue Mama baskets. That's not what these are, but they're similar. So these are called blessing baskets, and they're made in Ghana. They tell you, the picture of that lady right there is the lady who made the basket. They tell you what they're doing as far as their funds. So she's helping to pay for health insurance for her family. And I really like the basket. I know that I showed you in Finished Objects one that I crocheted, and I like it too. But this has special meaning because you know you're helping somebody
Support
else in the
someone.
world.
I like that idea.
Absolutely. And I love the color. It was hard to pick. They had lots of different
They did.
shapes, lots of different sizes.
But you ended up picking a good choice.
I
Again,
did. I
There's
was
lots
really,
of
really
patience
thrilled.
involved.
Yes, there was. And you did a great job. So that was dealing with Holland. And then we went to Frankenmuth and Birch Run. So let's talk about that. So we talked about eating at Zender's. And I bought this a year ago. And I
bought some
had
gifts
to
back,
buy it again.
Jen.
And this is called their Black Raspberry Preserves. And it is so good. I can't believe that I haven't eaten it already, because it doesn't take me long once I get started. This jam is brilliant. I know your mom likes it, and so does my mom. So that was at Zender's. And you mentioned that at Zender's they have jams and salad dressings and those kind of, and bakery
Spices,
goods.
bakery goods.
But they also have
a little shop. There's
little
jewelry
shop
and
with jewelry.
scarves. And
So that is a
Oh,
beautiful
wow.
scarf. It
I
is
forgot
light.
how beautiful this was.
It is. And if I wasn't showing it as a
You could wear it
souvenir,
maybe on the next
I might have been
podcast.
wearing it, because it is beautiful. I love the color. It's very summery and it's light, and I love the little details on it. So
There you
it's
go.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's going to look great on you, that color.
That's
so.
right. So who would have
Right.
thought we went in for fried chicken and I come up with a scarf? Who would have
And
thought?
jam. What a
And jam.
combination.
So that was at Zender's. And then, as we mentioned, we went next door to the store, which is Rapunzel's Boutique. There's the card. And we started off finding some soap. So this is actually soap that's made in France. So I'll let you smell that soap.
Oh, my new favorite.
Your new favorite? It's really,
It
really
just
nice.
smells clean and it's not too perfumey.
Yeah,
It's,
it's lovely.
Those French people really know how to make soap.
That's called Sage and Vanilla. And right by where the soap was, they sold these. And
How can you not?
I know.
Like, oh my goodness.
So it's a
that's
little
cute.
bathtub to put your soap in, and that will allow any of the water to come off your bar of soap. So
the
it
amount of
was
soap
cute.
that we have bought, we're going to be the cleanest two people.
I know. Well, it all smells so good, right? I mean, we smelled a lot, but it all smells
That's
so good.
lovely. That's
Yeah.
going to be, that was a wonderful little purchase.
That was fun.
Nice.
That was at the front of the store. And when we went to the back, we found this yarn. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this yarn. So it is called Stonehenge Crazy. It's 100% wool, and no two skeins are alike. So what they do is they take the mill ends and they ply them together, and they make this yarn. So it's a sport weight yarn. They call it Crazy because no two are alike.
It feels wonderful though.
It is. It's nice and soft. And we had seen this in all the stores in Lansing. We'd seen it in other stores
Grandville?
in
Was
Holland
it in
and in Grandville. Yes, they had it there as well. So all in Michigan, because Stonehenge fiber mill is in Michigan. And so they've decided to sell this. The owner of Woven Art has made a pattern that's called 100 times simple, I think is what it's called. And it just puts 2 or 3 of these together. When we bought this at Rapunzel's, they had a pattern that was free. So it just uses one, and it's kind of about this high, and it's a cowl. And I really, honestly, couldn't decide which color, and May said get both.
Now it's going to be interesting how this knits up.
Yeah, so I'm not going to put the two together. They're going to be separate things. But I was happy that you didn't make me decide any further, because I couldn't. Those are the ones I really
those
like.
patients were getting very thin. Just saying.
Okay.
Buy the store. I don't know. Just let's go.
All right, that was my yarn. And I had a great time, and I picked up things that I had thought to get and found a few little trinkets and other things that were helpful to me. So that was great. So that was my souvenirs. And May has some souvenirs as well.
So Birch Run, as you know, is a what we have talked about. It's more, what do you call those stores again? Like
Factory
outlet stores. And so we have the Nike store. So we bought some Nikes Nike Airs, which are our favorites.
Air Pegasus, yeah.
And I have to tell you that the price of these was unbelievable. Like we would pay like $140 for them, and we got them $60 American, although there was a bit of an exchange.
Right.
And so we bought my mom a pair also just because the price was so good, and I think she'd appreciate them. And it was her birthday, so. Great shoes, Air Pegasus, if you ever get an opportunity to get a pair of those. Now, they did have Coleman. When we went there, Coleman had a sale that was out in the parking lot. I don't know what they call that.
Amazingly enough, Coleman had a tent sale. So they were selling tents and lots of
tents
other things.
So I'm kind of drawn to the outdoor tents and the camping gear and that type of thing. So we really couldn't pass up. They had like this phenomenal deal on these lunch pails we can use for work. And the reason why we like them is because they come with a separate little container that you can take out and wash.
Clean. Yeah, it's brilliant.
And there's enough room in there to fit your whole lunch and a little pouch for when you have your, I don't know, whatever you need, spoons, forks.
Yeah.
And so that was a phenomenal bargain. We couldn't pass it up, so we got 2 of those from Coleman.
Yeah.
And then we thought, you know what? We do go a lot of bike rides and we do go a lot of car riding and picnics. And so we bought a medium-sized one cooler, which we've used quite a few times since we've been there.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's just enough for packing up a lunch and that for us. But again, we couldn't pass up that deal, so we brought, the car was quite full with coolers. We left Birch Run, and on the way down the coast, we come down the Lake Huron way, and then we run into Port Huron when we're crossing United States into Canada again. And we often come to Port Huron just to shop because they sometimes have great deals. Now, I went into a store which is one of my favorites. It's called
Harbor Freight.
I always forget the name of the store, but Colleen always remembers for me. It's Harbor Freight, and what I did purchase there before, it's kind of a cargo thing, and I'll put it on my one of our podcasts. It's a cargo that goes into the back of your vehicle and holds some stuff, and you bungee it down. And so I bought a pin lock, which will lock in the cargo thing, because if you don't have this, people could just take the pin out and take your cargo thing. Not that I think anybody would do that, but I just thought it's a little bit extra security for that. And so I'm really excited to be able to try this, and I will put a video on of me putting that on there actually to show you. Also, before we left, I think I was hanging up something or doing something, and I could not find a hammer in the garage. So sure enough, there was hammers on sale. It was in a big bin, and they were $3. Like, wonderful. I can't believe it was $3. How do you make that for $3?
And I think before we left, you had one that the handle had split on it.
Oh, that's probably why I was looking at hammers.
Exactly,
but,
I think so.
Since I've come home, I've cleaned up my garage and found 3 more hammers.
It's okay. I find skeins of yarn all the time too. It's okay.
So anyway, it's my $3 hammer. I'm very proud of it. And those are my souvenirs from our trip. We had a wonderful time.
We really did.
We've got lots of things to show for our trip, and great experience and some great video. And we hope you enjoyed this podcast.
We just wanted to let you know where to find us. So we are on Instagram at MC Knit Adventures. So that's our Instagram. Please go on there, take a look. We're trying to get more pictures on and post some more. Follow us if you'd like to. That would be great. So there's Instagram. The next thing I want to talk to you is about our Ravelry group. We have one of those. That's where I will put show notes. Those will have links in them. We've had knit along. We've had some prizes. So follow us. Okay, it's the MC Knitting Adventures Ravelry group.
All right.
So that's that. And you are obviously watching on our YouTube channel. If you like what you see, please subscribe. Comment down below. Let us know if there's anything else you'd like to see. Like us if you're enjoying what we're doing. And that's our social media.
Yeah, and always thanks for watching us. We really appreciate that.
So until next time,
you take care.